Welcome back to Team China Solutions. In today's video, we are going over a summary strong response essay. One thing I want you to do before watching this video is read the assignment instructions. Despite saying that, I know there will still be some people who actively avoid reading the assignment instructions. So for that, I will say be advised there may be some nuances from what I explain in this video and what your professor is looking for. Yes, you in the bag. Buena pregunta. For once, something is as simple as it sounds. You pick an article, you read it, you summarize it, and you respond to it. Generally, a summary strong response has 5 components: introduction, summary, thesis, body paragraphs, and conclusion. For each section, I'll put some criteria on the screen. You can use this criteria as a guide for crafting each of the sections, but check your assignment instructions to see if there's something else your professor is looking for. If I sent you this link directly, then this is the criteria you should follow. This is what your professor is looking for. For the introduction, you should be presenting the topic to the reader. Give some background, history, maybe mention different perspectives or opinions related to the topic, but avoid mentioning the author or giving statistics. If you do give statistics, be sure to cite. It's also common to see people's introduction and summary blended together, but stay away from the summary. The summary will have its own paragraph. The summary does not belong in the introduction. The summary should be short and sweet, okay? You want to hit the main points. It's not a summary if the reader would have gotten to the point faster by reading the article themselves. You want to make sure you hit the highlights. Think the 30-second TikTok version. Make sure the author's conclusion is the last sentence. Their name, the title of the article, and where the article was published should be in the first sentence. Use MLA formatting rules for writing the article title and publication title. A strong summary should give the author's hypothesis or main point. When they wrote this, what were they trying to tell us? What was the purpose? What was the reason? Briefly give the highlights of the evidence that they used to support their main claim or whatever they're trying to prove. How did they prove it? And lastly, give the author's conclusion. How did it end? Did they make a suggestion? Are they calling the readers to action? Did they leave it open for interpretation? How did it end? I do want to clarify something. When writing a summary, you want to make sure you give specific details. There's a difference between saying someone said something and explaining what was said about it. Let's look at 2 examples. Bad Drake just says someone said something. She talked about the summary and where to put it and what to say. Good Drake explains what was said about it. She explained that the summary should be the second paragraph and should include the author's main idea, supporting evidence, and conclusion. Can you hear the difference between those 2 examples? You see how we still have questions after Bad Drake's summary? Very unclear, very much withholding details. We want the detailed version. When I say, what's thesis? I expect my cup to overflow. Do not bring me an empty cup. You should treat your summary the same way. Next up, we have the thesis, and this is probably the most important part to pull everything together. Have you ever had some chicken wings or celery if you're vegan, and by the time you got home, you realized you didn't have any sauce and the meal just could not be complete? You didn't even want them anymore because the sauce was missing? The thesis is the sauce. The thesis is where you solidify the talking points for your body paragraphs. This is the basis for your response. If you found my video and I didn't send you the link, then you might not be focusing on these points. But you can still use the formula to create a strong thesis. But if I sent you this link directly, then what's coming next is for you. Your thesis for this paper, you are going to respond to the paper through the lens of critiques, okay? You have to have 3 critiques. The critiques are the principles that you're going to focus on, or the ideas that you're going to focus on. One of your critiques has to be either logos, pathos, or ethos. And if you need a refresher on what that is, click the little I in the top corner because I'm linking it in the cards. One of your critiques has to be logos, pathos, or ethos. Another has to be the critique of an idea. And the third can be either one of the other 2, logos, pathos, or ethos you didn't use, another idea, or it can be reflective. Try to use this template. Author, and then add a verb, and don't just put author with the author's name. Add a verb, and the examples are in parentheticals. And then give your opinion about critique 1, 2, and 3. For example, author X effectively uses relevant statistics, emotionally connects to his audience, and presents surprising alternatives for the issue of navigating diet culture. Relevant statistics is logos, emotionally connecting to the audience is pathos, and presenting surprising alternatives is an idea. Another example is, although author X presents a wealth of information, the suggested resolution is not practical and his background lacks experience that will yield credibility. So wealth of information is logos, suggested resolution is not practical is the critique of an idea, and background lacking experience that yields credibility is ethos. You don't have to say that the author did a good job with everything. You can say that you think there's something the author could have done better. Also, keep in mind that each of your critique points does not have to start as a new sentence. You want the thesis to be as succinct as possible. It should be one sentence. The thesis should not give too much detail. You're going to glaze over the main point. So summary, yes, detail. Thesis, no detail. You give the support for the claims in your thesis in the body paragraphs. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Well, we're almost done. Moving on to body paragraphs. Somebody said, oh, that board is busy. Each body paragraph should have a topic sentence, elaboration and research, an analysis or linking sentence, and a transition. The topic sentence should be the first sentence, should include the author's name and a clear statement of your opinion for that particular critique. For example, the author's presentation of statistical data appeals to the audience's sense of logic. And then you move on from there. Next, for elaboration and research, you're going to expand on your claim and give examples from the source. So if you just said that there was a presentation of statistical data, then you give some examples. For example, the author quotes this journal and says, do. You can copy and paste using a direct quote, or you can paraphrase. After you've given your examples, tie everything back together with an analysis linking sentence and explain how you felt the use of this critique or the use of this strategy either helped or harmed the author's main purpose. The last sentence should be the transition sentence, and this is where you're going to connect the dots between the critique that you're using in that paragraph and the critique that's coming up next. You can't just jump in. The water is not fine, okay? You have to smoothly get us from point A to point B. In addition to using statistical evidence, the author also pulls at the audience's heartstrings, and then you'll start with the topic sentence that makes a claim that the author uses pathos in the source. Make sure there are no standalone quotes, so just can't have a sentence where you just have quotation mark and copy and paste what the author said, add a period, and move on to the next sentence. Each quote needs to have an attributive tag such as the author said, comma, over quotation mark, nestle it within a sentence. Or if you don't use an attributive tag where you say according to whoever, then be sure to add a parenthetical citation at the end of the sentence. You'll follow this pattern for each of your 3 critiques, ending with the transition sentence that moves into the conclusion. So let's wrap it up and get out of here, which is exactly what you'll be doing in the conclusion. In the conclusion, you want to briefly recap the main points of your analysis, or rather your response, touch on the implications of the topic or any other comments you might have. Basically, just finish off the response. What do you want to leave your audience with? Okay, I know that was a lot, so let's just quickly recap everything. What you're being asked to do is pick an article and respond to it based on 3 chosen critiques. These steps are to first pick the article you want to use, second, write an introduction that presents the topic, summarize the article in the second paragraph, pick 3 critiques and list them in the thesis, which should be the standalone third paragraph. Then create 1 body paragraph for each of the 3 critiques and make sure each body paragraph has the essential elements. 6, close it out with the conclusion. And 7, be sure to cite your sources by creating a works cited page. And with that, I'm out of here. Catch you the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.